Now we will try to understand what is Coulomb's law. Coulomb's law. Coulomb's law states that whenever there are two charges, let us say Q1 and Q2, there are two charges and the distance between them is R, then according to Coulomb's law, force between them will be proportional to Q1, Q2 and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. So it will be something like this. Whenever we remove this proportionality, then a small k constant, let us say, is there, that is proportionality constant, and q1 q2 divided by r square. Okay, so here this small k, it is what Coulomb's constant we are naming it. It is Coulomb's constant. Now what will be the value of this small k? This small k will be comprising of some factors like it will be 1 upon 4 pi epsilon m. Now whenever we uh, expand it once more, so it will be, we can rewrite this epsilon m. Now what is this epsilon m? Epsilon m is actually electrical permittivity of medium. It is property of medium. It is electrical permittivity of medium. So we are naming this, and now this can be written in terms of the electrical permittivity of the vacuum and a constant epsilon r. So I can write epsilon m as epsilon naught into epsilon r, and this epsilon r is what? It is relative permittivity of medium. This is epsilon r. Now what is epsilon naught? Epsilon naught is electrical permittivity of vacuum. Electrical permittivity of vacuum. Now there isn't much difference between vacuum and air by if we compare electrical permittivity. So for air also we will take this epsilon naught, and also this epsilon r is sometimes also written as capital K. Now remember, you are not to be confused with this small k and capital K, and it is also called uh, dielectric constant. What is it? What is it called? It is called dielectric constant. So I'm reminding you, epsilon r and k are one and the same thing. So I can also write here 1 upon 4 pi k into epsilon naught. So this relation we have to remember, this one. This relation we have to remember ki what is this constant and what are these relations, and all the terms we have to be clear about it. Okay. Now epsilon r, once again I can write what is epsilon r. Epsilon r is electrical permittivity of medium divided by electrical permittivity of vacuum. Now I'm sure you should be remembering by observing this formula something like in earlier classes we have studied. What we have studied, if you remember, relative density. Relative density is also density of the material or the medium divided by density of the water. So it is just like that. It is we are comparing electrical permittivity of the medium with that of vacuum. Okay. So again we can write epsilon r is what? Epsilon m divided by epsilon naught, and we can easily see. So epsilon r here will be dimensionless, dimensionless and unitless. Okay. So okay, if we are if someone asks us about the unit of epsilon, then what we will write? Unit, as you can see, we can easily understand its unit will be unit of epsilon naught. If we are asked about, then we can easily see its unit is what? It is Coulomb square divided by Newton into meter square. Okay, if someone asks about unit of Coulomb's constant, that is small k, not capital K, always try to differentiate between the two, small k, then this will be what it will be? It will be Newton into meter square divided by Coulomb square, reverse of this. Okay, so I hope you are clear with this. Now moving on. Now there are small points that we have to keep in mind about what we have studied. What are those points? Let us understand it. First, the value of dielectric constant, that is capital K, varies from 1 to infinity. Now this 1 is the case when we are having vacuum. Now infinity, it is for conductor. For conductors it will be infinity. Okay, and similarly value of electrical permittivity of the medium. Now once again I'll remind you, capital K and epsilon r are one and the same thing. So electrical permittivity of the medium will be ranging from epsilon naught to infinity, and this infinity, this epsilon naught is the case for what? It is case for vacuum, and this will again be for conductor. So we have to understand, if someone asks us what is the electrical permittivity of the conductor, then we will answer infinity. And what is the electrical permittivity of the vacuum? Then it is epsilon naught. Now what is the value of epsilon naught? Value of epsilon naught, we can see it is 8.85 approximately into 10 raised to power minus 12 Coulomb square divided by Newton meter square. We have to remember it. It is the unit of unit is what? Coulomb square divided by Newton meter square, and the value is 8.85 into 10 raised to power minus 12. Now moving on, value of if we are asked about value of Coulomb's constant in vacuum, what is its value? So I'll tell you. Now it is small k, it is not capital K, it is small k. Its value will be 9 into 10 raised to power 9 Newton meter square upon Coulomb square. It is, we have got this value just by solving this 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught, and epsilon naught, value of epsilon naught we have got experimentally by performing performing experiments and calculating the value by following Coulomb's law. Okay, so value of Coulomb's constant is what in vacuum? 9 into 10 raised to power 9. But if someone asks us what is the CGS value, this is value in SI units. So what is the CGS value of Coulomb's constant? If someone asks us what is the value CGS value of Coulomb's constant, then we can easily write what we will do. We have to convert SI units into CGS units. So we will do. So here it is 9 into 10 raised to power 9 Newton meter square upon Coulomb square. So we will convert all the units in CGS units. So as you can see, 9 into 10 raised to power 9, and I hope you will be remembering this whenever we convert 1 Newton, that is the SI unit of force, to CGS unit of force, that will be 1 Newton will be equal to 10 raised to power 5 dyne. So dyne is the CGS unit of force. So we will write here 10 raised to power 5 dyne multiplied by, now meter, so I'll convert meter into centimeter, 10 raised to power 2 centimeter whole square, and divided by coulomb. As we have studied today itself, that coulomb, when we convert coulomb into ESU, it will be 3 into 10 raised to power 9 ESU. So 3 into 10 raised to power 9 ESU whole square. So whenever we solve this value, we will get what you can easily see, 9 into 10 raised to power 9 and into 10 raised to power 5 and square is 10 to the power 4. So it will be 10 raised to power 9 once again, and here 3 square will be 9 and 10 raised to power 9 square, so it will be 10 raised to power 18, and here we will get dyne centimeter square divided by ESU square. So when we solve this value, we will get 1. Now it is very important fact to remember that whenever we are calculating value of CGS constant, Coulomb constant, sorry, in CGS units, then it is coming out to be 1. So it is 1 dyne centimeter square divided by ESU square. So this is what we have to remember. Okay, I hope everyone is clear about it. So the unit of Coulomb constant in CGS unit is what? 1. Okay. So moving on, now we will solve some questions based on it. Let's try to understand the concept by having some examples. Okay. Hmm. Yes. Hmm. Hmm. So I'm taking some examples. Example 1. So let us say condition is like this. Q1 charge is given and Q2 charge is given here, and both are experiencing 100 Newton repulsive force. So 100 Newton repulsive force they are experiencing, and the distance between them is R, and the whole setup is placed in vacuum. Now what we have to do, we are asked about what will be the value of force, what will be the value of force of repulsion if these charges are placed in a medium of dielectric constant 5, in a medium of dielectric constant 5, constant K is equal to 5, and when while doing so, Q1, Q2 and R are kept same. It is given in the question. Okay, now we have to solve this. Now I'll remind you, those who are watching this video, they are expected to pause the video right now and then solve it. Try to solve it on your own. If you are not able to solve or you want to check the answer, then only you proceed and check whether it is correct or not. Only in that way you will be slowly able to understand and grasp the concept. Okay, so I am solving it here now. It is in the earlier case, when it is in vacuum, I can write force as 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 divided by R square. Now whenever I am taking the system, the whole system in a medium which is having dielectric constant capital K barabar is equal to 5. In that case, let us say F dash force I am writing. In that case, F dash force is what? 1 upon 4 pi K, capital K is epsilon naught, because at the place of permittivity of the medium, K into epsilon naught will come, and multiplied by Q1 Q2 divided by R square. It is coming out like this. So whenever we divide this F dash, now it is equation number 1 and this is equation number 2. So whenever I am dividing equation number 2 with equation number 1, I'll get F dash divided by F. Now all other things will get cancelled and I'll get 1 upon K, because all other things are same. And whenever I solve this, I'll get F dash divided by, because I know the earlier force was 100 Newton, I'll put 100 at the place of capital F, and here value of dielectric constant is 5. So on further solving it, I will get F dash is equal to 20 Newton. Now this is my answer. F dash is equal to 20 Newton. So I hope you will be clear with this example. It is very simple example. In this example, we have applied the concept of Coulomb's law and then solved it accordingly. Okay. So now let us take another example. We are taking one more example. Example 2. Okay. So in this example, what is given? A square. Sorry. A square is given, and in that square, here 10 coulomb. It is not looking like a square, so let's draw it once more. 1 second. Yes. It is more like it. So now a square is given. Here 10 coulomb charge is being put at each corner. 10 coulomb charge is there at each corner, and the length of the square side is 2 meter. And what we have to do, we have to find electrostatic force on one of the charges by other 3 charges. One of the charges by other 3 charges. This is what we have to do. Other 3 charges. So for solving it, what we will do, once again we will make the square, and here we are having 4 spheres, 4 charges, sorry. Now let us take this, let us name them A, B, C, D. So what we have to do, we have to find the net force on any one of the charge. So let us say we are taking C, then we can easily see here this D will apply force on C. So this force will be named as force on C due to D, and this B will apply force on C, and this force will named as force on C due to B. Now here this A will also apply force, and this will be named as force on C due to A. Okay. So first of all, we can easily understand that magnitude of the vector FCD will be equal to magnitude of vector FCB, and its value will be equal to k, this is small k, q square, because each is having same charge q, and the distance between them, that is r square. If I solve this value, it will come out to be k, small k is there, this, and 100 is 10 square will be 100, and 2 square will be 4. So it is coming out to be 100k by 4. Now if I write the value of FCA vector, if I try to write the magnitude of this, then I can easily see if this side, that this side is how much, and this side is how much, and this. So when I compare this, I can easily see it is A, it is A, and by applying hypotenuse theorem, I can easily write this will be root A, root 2A. So here the value, what I value I will get, the value will be something like this, k into q square, and divided by r square again, but here it will be root 2a whole square. So if I put the values, I'll get k into 100 divided by root 2 into 2, because a is 2, so it will be something 2 root 2 square. So what we will get? We will get 100k divided by 8. Now this is all about solving individually. Now as we know, force is a vector quantity. We have to deal them vectorially. So we cannot add them simply. We have to add them vectorially. So first of all, I'll remind you, if a force F is given and a force F is given, then if you remember, and the angle between them is 90, then by using this formula we can write what formula? To finding the resultant of two vectors, I can easily write f square plus f square plus 2f square and cos 90. By solving this, I can write it will be what? Root 2f. So the sum of these two will be root 2f. So I can easily understand the sum of FCD and the sum of what I'm trying to understand. See, the sum of this FCD and sum of this FCB. Value of these two will be what? Net of these two will be root 2f. So I can write on C, whenever let us say this C point is there, so it is 100k by 4. So root 2f is coming out to be the net of two forces. So it will be root 200k by 4. And one more, and also it will bisect, because as we know, if this force and this force is equal, then the resultant will be root 2f, and it will bisect. And also it is also bisecting, because we know the diagonals of the square are also the angle bisectors of the angles. So here we can understand easily that parallel to it, one more force will be there, and the value of this force will be what? Value of this force will be 100k by 8. So we can easily write F net. What is F net coming? F net is coming out to be 100k by 8 plus 100 root 2k divided by 4, and we can further solve it and we will get our answer. So I hope everyone is clear what is this we are getting. This is our answer. Okay. So in this case, what we did, we were asked about the net force on one of the charges. So all other three charges will apply some force, and we were adding them vectorially. First of all, we have drawn all the forces, and then we have solved them vectorially, because when adding vectors we have to follow vector law of addition. So by following vector law of addition, we have finally got this result. So this is how we deal with the problems in which vector law of addition is required, and Coulomb's law application is also done here. So I hope everyone is clear. So let's move on. Okay, so we will do one more example. So it is example 3. Hmm. In this example, a triangle is there, and on the vertices of the triangle, a triangle is there, and the vertices of the triangle, 10 coulomb each is placed. Now it is a similar question, just at the place of square, this time we are having triangle, an equilateral triangle, of course. So angle is also, each angle is what, 60 degree. And one more thing, the length is what, length is 2, for each side is having dimension 2. Now we have to find electrostatic force on one of the charges by other two charges. Other two charges. Okay. So let us try to solve it. So what we are having? We are having this triangle, that is equilateral triangle. Hmm. So let us name it A, B, C, and let us try to understand the net force on C due to other two. So we can easily understand the force on C due to A will be in this direction. It will be this vector, and force on C due to B will be in this direction. And as vertically opposite angles are there, this angle is 60 degree, so this angle is all will also be equal to 60 degree. So we'll try to solve it. Again, we can see the magnitude of vector FCB will be equal to magnitude of force CA, and the value of these will be equal to K Q square divided by A square. Now what is A here? A is the side of the triangle. So let us solve this. K, this is small k, okay, everyone remember this. Now what is Q? Q is 10 square, and A is given to 2 square, so it is coming out to be what, 25k. It is coming out to be 25k. Now once again the question comes, because these two are vectors and these are at angle 60 degree, we cannot add them simply, we have to add them vectorially. So for the vector addition, once again we'll apply the law of vector addition. F net will be equal to f square plus f square plus 2f into f into cos 60. This time angle between them is what, 60 degree. So it will come out to be 2f square plus 2f square. Now cos 60 is what, half. So this 2 and this 2 will get cancelled, and we will be having root 2f square plus f square, so it will be equal to root 3f. So our answer is coming out to be root 3f. Now root 3f, already we have calculated 25k, So 25 into 9 into 10 raised to power 9. So the final answer will be something like this: 225 root 3 into 10 raised to power 9 Newton. So I hope everyone is clear with this. So this is coming out to be our final answer. This is our final answer. Okay. So once again here application of Coulomb's law we have done, and we have tried to understand how we apply Coulomb's law in different cases. So now let us take a different type of example. Okay. Now we will take different type of example. In this example, it will be example 4. In this example, what we are given, this is support, and with this support, we are having two two strings, and with these two strings, we are having two charges having value q is equal to 10 nanocoulomb. It is nanocoulomb, not milli. So 10 nanocoulomb and 10 nanocoulomb on each, and the length of the string is 2 meter, and this is also 2 meter, and the angle between them is what, 30 degree, and this is also 30 degree, and each of them is having mass m and m. Now we are asked about if both charges are in equilibrium. If both charges are in equilibrium and all other data is given, then we have to find the value of mass. Mass we have to find. What is the value of mass? So we'll solve it like this. See, first of all, we will make a free body diagram. Okay. We will make free body diagram, so we can easily see in free body diagram that here it will have some tension, and in between these two, one electrostatic force will be there. Let us name this is Fe, and here mg will be felt. Similarly here also T, and here electrostatic force, and here mg, and this is the distance between them, and this angle is what, 30 degree. So what we will do now, we will try to solve. So if we focus on the free body diagram on the of the single charge, it will look like this. This will be T, this will be F, and this will be mg. Okay, so if we see, this angle will also be equal to 30, because here we can see alternate interior angle property. These two are parallel, so this angle is 30, so this angle will also be 30. So we can easily write here, and in general let us take this theta. So if we take component here, that one component here will be t sine theta, and the upward component will come out to be t cos theta. So by balancing, because as we are given for equilibrium is given here, what we can write? We can write T sine theta will be equal to Fe, that is Fe electrostatic force of repulsion between these two charges, which are equal, and in this is what we are applying equilibrium condition in x direction. Let us name this x direction then. T sine theta is coming out to be Fe, and similarly we can write T cos theta will be coming out to be mg if we apply equilibrium condition in y direction. And let us name this equation 1 and this 2. By dividing 1 by 2, I can easily write what, that tan theta will come out to be f divided by mg. Okay. Now let us try to understand the distances. So this distance here, this value of this distance is 2 meter. So and this angle is 30. So I can easily write this distance and this distance will be equal to what? It will be equal to 2 sine 30, and this also again will be equal to 2 sine 30. So the total distance between these two, will be equal to how much? It will be equal to sum of these two. It will be 4 sine 30. So if I see the distance r, it is coming out to be 4 sine 30, and if I solve it, sine 30 is how much? Half. So it will be 4 into half, it will be 2. So let us try to solve this. This is in general, it will be useful for upcoming questions also. So we do not have to remember it, but just we can have it in our memory so that okay, we have solved something like that. So moving on, you don't have to worry to remember it, you will easily remember it slowly. So by applying the concept here, theta here is what? 30 degree. So tan 30 will be equal to f by mg. Now solving it, tan 30 is how much? 1 upon root 3. Now f, the value of f will be k q1 q2 divided by r square, and both are equal here, and into mg. So yes, so putting the value, all the values here, what is k? K is 9 into 10 raised to power 9. Now how much is q? Q is 10 nanocoulomb. So it will be 10 into 10 raised to power minus 9 the whole square, and divided by the r. As we have solved, r is coming out to be 2. So I can write here 2 square, and the value of mg, what is m we have to calculate, okay, and value of g is what? 10. So by solving it, I can write m is equal to this root 3 will by cross multiplication I can write it will be something like root 3 into 9 into 10 raised to power 9, and if I solve this, it will come out to be 10 raised to power minus 8, and the square of that will be 10 raised to power minus 16, and divided by it is 4, and here 10, 4 into 10. When I completely solve it, I'll get value something like root 3 to 9 by 4 into 10 raised to power uh, so I'll get root 3 into 9 by 4 into 10 raised to power minus 8, and the answer will come out in kg. So this is our answer. So what we can see here also, we have simply only applied what concept we have applied. We have applied Coulomb's law and some concept of equilibrium. In 11th class, we have studied equilibrium concepts. It tells us that whenever equilibrium is there, then the net force will be equal to 0. So those concepts we have combined with the concept of Coulomb's law, which tells us the force between two charges, and then we were able to solve this question. So I hope everyone is clear about this question. Okay. So now let us take a different type of question. This time, sorry. So this will be our example 5. So here we are given a support, and after that what we are given, again two equal length strings are given, and one charge is what, one is having mass m1, another one is having mass m2. Now in this case the theta is not given equal. Theta 1 and theta 2, two angles are given in equilibrium case. So what we have to do, we have to match the column. Okay, so what I will do, I will make a column. Now you have to match from the left column to the right, the entries in the left column to the entries in right column. Okay, so it goes like something like this. Oh, first part, it is given that q1 is greater than q2 and m1 is equal to m2. B part, this is A part. Now in B part, q1 is greater than q2 is given, and also and m1 is greater than m2. Okay, now in C part, q1 greater than q2 is given and m1 is given less than m2. In D part, we are given q1 is equal to q2 and m1 is equal to m2. In E part, q1 is equal to q2 and m1 is greater than m2. In F part, q1 is equal to q2 and m1 is given less than m2. Okay, this is for now, still it is not complete. Okay, so this is F. Now G part, we are given q1 is less than q2 and m1 is equal to m2. And now in H part, what we are given, q1 is less than q2 and m1 is greater than m2. Now I part, we are given q1 is less than q2 and m1 is less than m2. This is about for the left column. Now in right column, what we are given, we are given only three cases. First, let us name this P. Theta 1 is greater than theta 2. Q. Theta 1 is equal to theta 2. And R, that theta 1 is less than theta 2. So what we have to do now, what we have to do, we have to let us name this column A, and let us name this column B. Here also in continuation, column A. So what we have to do for all parts in left column, that is column A, select one part from right column. This is what we have to do, that is column B. Okay everyone, so I am giving you this as the homework. In the next class we will discuss the solution of this problem and then we'll continue further. And before that, I expect everyone to solve the concept builder exercise 1 so that we can move on. Now, based on what we have studied till now, you will be able to solve concept exercise 1. Concept, yes. So everyone, please try to solve it. And till then, bye. Thank you very much for watching the course. Okay.